Hello everyone and welcome. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. This time, not drunk me saying that. I wish you all have a really good 2022. But we're here with a special video, a tier list, not just any regular tier list. And no, it is not the Skul tier list. I'll be doing that later on. I need to finish all the skulls first, and then I'll be doing that. But this is an item tier list. There is now finally an item tier list for Skull in the tier list maker. So it's like a good chance to actually talk about all the items in general. So first we have to define the tiers. So S is insta pick. So when you see this item, almost always you won't have this on your build. Like there's no reason to drop these. It is very good items. Basically you will usually be with these until you like swap them. So like until you get the like S counterparts. But sometimes you'll keep these items for like your entire run. B is decent. B is like when an item is like not as great anymore. It's like it does the job, right? It does the job, but usually later on in the run you want to swap out of them for like A or S tier items. C is situational. Basically, these items are starting to become bad because they are very limited in when you can use them or when they are good. And D is don't bother. Like there's almost never a reason to pick these items when you see them. So let's go with the Sage's Time. Sage's Time gives you cooldown speed. I'm sorry, gives you less time to swap whenever you use an ability. Rizan is kind of a garbage effect. I will be counting inscriptions by the way, but spoiler alert, not all inscriptions are that great. So um, it has the mutant, but you don't want to go for like full mutant run unless you're going for like a specific run just for the fun of it. You know, it's usually not that impressive. Um, Otherwise, this is just like a bad item. Like you unless you're going for a themed run, there's almost no reason to pick this. The Bone of Courage. Bone of Courage is decent. It is a good item. Alright, it's not bad. There's one thing that's holding it back is the fact that it only works on power type skulls, which as we know are pretty subpar compared to the rest. But as you work on all power skulls, no. Because on some power skulls, on most power skulls, it's pretty bad. There is one power skull that this item absolutely shines on, and that is Warrior. Like this item is god tier on Warrior. It is like one of the most important items you can have. But outside of that, it starts to become like, oh, it's very good on a couple other skulls like Minotaur. It's pretty good on Minotaur. Um, I don't know. Sometimes on Ents, if you go for like the big one punch, but that's about it honestly. Or actually even Berserker for the swap-in. I'm sorry for the like when you become demon, that also gets the damage buffed. But that's kind of it, honestly. Like it's very limited. That like it gives you bonus damage on one hit every 3 seconds, but almost all skulls rely on having multiple hits that actually do that instead of one hit, which is why it's only good on Warrior since he relies on that one big hit. And the other skull that actually would use this well is Samurai, but he can't use it that well because it's not a power skull, so it feels bad. Carlion Staff, the basic Carlion Staff. The basic Carlion Staff is really good. You will almost always want to have this on your build in a magic run. The reason for that is not only does it give you like 30% bonus magic damage, which is like decent-ish, but it also gives you tactics. And tactics, I've said this before, but tactics is the only amazing inscription. The rest are either alright or bad. Um, Tactics is very seamless. Like you don't even notice that you're building it. Like you just get like the best items, the best magic items you can get, and they just happen to have tactics on it. So that's literally a bonus. That's why it's so good. It's exactly what an inscription is supposed to be. You don't need to break your build to go for tactic builds. So on top of being very good, it also has tactics. So that's just like a very good item. Like there's usually no reason to drop this unless you have like unless your build is like full. Like you absolutely need to. Because even if the magic damage is alright, the tactics really help. In late runs, this would be like the 6th or 7th tactics. So let's go. The Assassin Dagger. The Assassin Dagger is very good. First of all, it is the highest crit boosting item in the game outside of the Thief's Blacksteel Dagger. So that means that it's instantly better than things like the bow, the basic Harlean bow. What else does this do? Well, it combos decently with Gunpowder Sword, which, as we've said before, is one of the best items in the game, if not the best item in the game, single best item. So just because of that, is already very good. On Speed Skulls, however, it is even better because it actually boosts the attack speed and movement speed, but mainly the attack speed. That's the main one. It's 25%, so it benefits a lot on things like Werewolf, Thief, King, even Samurai for his basic attack. A lot of Speed Skulls really rely on this attack speed, so it's like decent. But the main one is just the crit. The crit, it helps, especially even since Speed Skulls have the speed bone as well, which we're going to talk about in a second. So it just creates a lot of synergy. Actually, let me just rename this to question mark tier. Can tell to random. I'll say why I did this for like a couple items later on. Let's go. The Berserker's Gauntlet. It's decent. First of all, it buffs your attack speed. Which is not that great. Like attack speed is not that great in the game. Most of the good skulls rely on abilities rather than attack speed, but even on the ones that do rely on attack speed, you actually have to be like low on life. So on an average run, you don't want to be low on life. You want to be like at least about mid. And if you're like around mid of your health bar, this will only give you 30% bonus attack speed, sorry. Which is just 5% less than the Assassin's Dagger, which doesn't require you to be half life. And it also gives you 30%, 10% critical chance. So there's no reason to have these two in the same one. It's like, oh, but this one also works for balance. Almost no balance code wants attack speed, really. Everyone is more reliant on magic damage. On the ability damage, sorry. What about Power Skulls? Again, few Power Skulls, at least the ones that work, actually work because of attack speed. Warrior does not work because of attack speed. Predator does not necessarily need attack speed. He can just go for raw damage and still kill everything. Berserker, he can also go for like his best setup doesn't even require freaking attack speed. Like he can use it, sure. That's like one of the only skulls that works well with this because he eats his own life. But yeah, it's decent. Like it's not the best one. It works, but it's not the best one. The virus. The virus is really good. It is almost a must pick for speedruns. It is really good early on. It only starts to drop off around Act 4, and that's like not for every build. Like physical builds, this will drop at around Act 4. For magic builds, this will still work even in Act 4. But in Act 4, you will start to have trouble getting big boys to like half-life. And yes, you can still kill the small ones, but like there are a lot of like big boys in Act 4 who are the most troublesome ones. It is a really good item, but it doesn't do too much, and you almost always want to drop this at around Act 4 just because you have to fight Joan and the hero, who are both bosses, and this does not proc on bosses for obvious reasons. It also doesn't not to work on adventures, with very few exceptions when you have like big setup. But even when it does proc on adventures, it doesn't really do any damage whatsoever. So it's a good item, but it's limited to just mobs in rooms. Bonus swiftness. Bonus swiftness is very good. So why did I put bonus swiftness here and the power bone at B, even though they're technically like similar? Well, the bonus swiftness actually triggers on all kinds of attacks, similar to power bone. However, the bonus swiftness has the advantage of almost every speed skull works well with this. Samurai, like yes, he has the big stab, but even when he doesn't do that, you still want to have this as like a secondary type of damage to when you're dealing with rooms or like small mobs. You know, when you don't want to waste the big full move slash. What else? Speed skulls are just way better. There actually is no bad speed skull, so that's also a bonus. It also works well with crit, which means that you can have this alongside gunpowder for even more like stupid shenanigans. So it's just a really good bone overall. Ancient incense burner situation. Most good, um, most good quints, because this gives you quint cooldown speed. For those who don't know, most quints don't really need this to work. Orc does not need this to work. You can have it, like it helps, but you don't need this. Troll does not need this to work. Wisp doesn't necessarily need this to work. You can almost always get the quint burst out because that's what quints usually amount to. Right now in the meta of the game, quints amount to giving you a better burst for a short period of time, which is what Orc does. It gives you insane burst, which is what Troll does, which is what Wisp does, which is why the best quints in the game right now are the ones that help with your burst, instead of just ones like whatever, like slime. Nobody uses slime unless it's a meme pick. Because yes, you're safe, and yes, like it's funny. You don't really deal any damage, and staying alive right now, it's not that hard. So there is one quint where this is almost like a must pick, and that is Balrog, because you can actually keep Balrog almost all the time if you have maxed Ruin and this. And Balrog is actually a pretty bad quint. Like it's a decent quint, but the fact that you have to sacrifice your skull to play him, and he's worse than most skulls, makes him just a bad quint because you're actually sacrificing instead of just adding upon it. So yeah, this is just situation. Like it's I could even put it don't bother, but there are builds where you actually do want this. 10% fire, don't bother. Like I'm not even gonna go into in depth. There's literally nothing this item does. Brawler's Knuckle, very good. It gives you a really huge, like a fairly big physical damage, 25%, which is the same as like the swords. It gives you 7% crit, which is the third highest after Assassin Dagger. It also gives you Miser for like um, a bit more money, but yeah, it's just a really good item. The Nether Mana Suppressor. It is very high in decent. I could even put it very good, but I'm gonna keep it a decent for now. Maybe I'll change my mind later. This is a really good item. Like it gives you like 30% cooldown speed, but it also gives you mana attack, which is a fairly decent inscription. But most of the time right now, you don't need that much cooldown speed to function. Like you're much better off with raw damage and some cooldown speed, which is why this is still good, but not as detrimental as like being A in my opinion. But you could still put it A in some builds, and it'll still work. I'm gonna keep it at like top of decent for now. The insignia is situation. You actually need a lot of Carlian items, which are gonna like drop by the middle of the game, and some of them are pretty bad. And it's like 30 money per room, which does actually add up to a lot of money. It's situational because you actually need to run into the items first. But I guess I could even put it at decent. This is gonna be top of situational for now, but I could put it at decent. Ceramic Dagger. Okay, so Ceramic Dagger. It is a really strong item. One of the best magic items that you have to build. It has tactics. It gives you a crit. It gives you bonus damage on crit, which will be pretty frequent, like 55%. It's just a really great item overall. No need to explain it. The Fang situation. You only get it from the Chimera. And the Chimera is this item. I'm sorry, is situational because you only really want it on like adventurers or something. Because like on mobs, 10% life is not that big. On bosses, it does not work because you actually need to proc toxin for this to work, and you cannot proc status effect on bosses. That's situational. I don't want to put that don't bother because it's kind of decent sometimes, but like yeah, not that great. Clone stamp. Can't tell, it's too random. This can have two of the worst inscriptions in the game, or this can have two tactics or two demolition, or like something else, two fairy tale, and become instantly like very good or S tier. So right now it's just like there's no way to tell. This one useless. This one situational. You are going to be you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and it's too slow as you're adding it up. So like most fights with most good skulls are gonna end before this like gives you like that big boost. This one, it is situational because not a lot of skulls benefit that much from it. So like there's a few skulls like sniper, archmage, mummy, clown, and something else I'm forgetting. But out of these, clown has very good abilities, and he doesn't really like his old game plan doesn't rely on staying far away from opponents. Archmage doesn't even use his basic attack. Mummy has kind of a similar thing, but his main damage when playing physical Mummy actually relies on like getting gunpowder to proc, rather than the bullets themselves dealing the damage. So it is good on the sniper, but that's kind of it. Like that's his main use. Like it's very situational. It's good, but it's very situational. The it's honestly I want to say bad. There's a I don't know. This is hard because this gives you one mirage, and mirage is is probably the only inscription. Actually, one of the only inscriptions because the mana attack also is really good. That's really good even on rank 1 because it saves you from one hit. It helps you get the achievements, the no hit achievements easier. But otherwise, you get like a bigger dash when you're swarmed by people. It's kind of a meh effect. The Minotaur. The Minotaur right now is a situation like you may keep this as like a placeholder, but it's never the build, so I'm just gonna keep it at don't bother. Like the cooldown is way too long right now. I'm gonna keep this at S actually. This shield, this is like one of the two best defensive items in the game. This shield is too good. It actually helps a lot of people. A lot of people I've seen actually have managed to beat the game for the first time because of this, because this was keeping them alive. So it's easy to see why this item is nasty. I'm not even going into too many details. Shade. B. It's like whatever. He doesn't attack, whatever. Like the spirits aren't that great. Demonomicon has 55% bonus magic damage on top of having like necromancy. Like it's insane. 55%. This is huge. There's only one reason why this would ever be an A, and that's if you want to argue that it doesn't have tactics, and you might want to swap this if sorry, if you have all the tactic items. And Joanne's book. Joanne's book has one big flaw. It drops only from the Joanne, and the only other person that you have after this is the hero. And this actually spawns a big pillar on you, so it will almost never hit the hero at like full potential. So it will have the effect pretty like not a good one. Like it won't like have the effect at its maximum potential. So it's kind of either C or D. Like once you get the hard mode and you get like more expansions, like more biomes, more bosses, this may be better, but right now it's kind of D. This one is it's either I'm gonna say top of B, sorry, because it is a really good quint. It actually works well with what quints are supposed to do. I'm sorry, it is a really good item for a quint. It works well with quints and what they're supposed to do. Like it helps with the burst, but some of the best quints in the game don't trigger this. Wisp does not trigger this. Troll and Orc do not trigger this. A bunch of others I probably can think of right now do not trigger this. So, but the ones they do, with the ones they do, especially like the ones that do it pretty consistent, like Ravenlord, this is a really good item. It's instantly B or S tier if you can get like a good proccing consistent with that. But since like some of the best queens right now don't use it, it kind of holds it back. So I'm gonna keep it at top of B. It's a really good item. Situational. It like gives you health. It gives you some sorcery, but that's it. Like it's you almost always want to swap this. It's good for new players though. 40% life. It's not bad. I'm actually gonna get flagged for this for illegal content, but I'm gonna put this at D. Sorry. Doomsday is insanely hard to like trigger. Like you have to wait for the cooldown, and it might start like absorbing damage at like a really bad time when you're like just about to get to the boss, for example, and then you have to do the entire boss without this. Or even if it triggers on the boss, you actually do all of that and get the damage in, and then the boss just decides to teleport if it's John, or decides to just hold back to just like pull back if it's the Chimera, or it just decides to do the invincible attack, the hero, and there goes your entire ability, right? And it doesn't do anything besides that except for giving you demolition. So I'm gonna keep it at C just to be generous, but this item is not good. Like it's so hard to even proc, and even then you have to hope that the boss just doesn't just just say give you the middle finger and say yeah dude it's not time for Doomsday. Sorry, this item C D, sorry, it's pretty bad. 10% of both, like, come on. C D. I'm not even gonna answer on these. Like shape the spirits are pretty bad unless you have outside of this one, which oh sheesh, it's the next one light. So yeah, they're pretty bad. This item you almost always want to sell just for the money. Like 40 shield, it's not that great, and it doesn't even give itself more. So I'm gonna give Elemental's Blessing a top of B. So it's a godlike item if you have all spirits because you get you get the freaking um, Oberon, but also you get 45% for each of the spirits, which actually even makes spirits work as a build. Like without this item, these spirits would have never worked. So it's a really good item, but the thing is, that it does not have much going for it in the sense of you're still stuck to using the spirits. It's not just like a great item on its own, like the staff, for example, or the ceramic dagger. You have to use these to even make this work. It becomes good, but you're stuck in the build. 11 finger. Um, or 11 finger? I don't remember what. Either way, this item is pretty bad. There's no reason to really keep this item. It's like whatever. It's kind of like in the same spot as the fire one, where it's like okay, whatever. It gives you some lightning damage every now and then. It's like I guess that's fine, but like almost never a reason to have it in your build. The bomb is decent, like 25%. Kyrion, you've already heard my thoughts on the top 10 godlike item. Very good. The axe is very good. It's 40% base, and it's even better on power skulls on top of having demolition, which is just big buffs all around. This one, it's C or D. I'm gonna keep it at C because it's true damage, so that means you cannot buff it. It just deals a set amount of damage, and that's it. And it's really bad damage, not gonna lie. This one, D, this D, this C. Uh, um, I don't know what to put this as. This is technically like D, and like I don't know. I'm not gonna like put this as all just because it's weird. Like you want Kyrion, that's kind of the thing. Unless we count this as like its own item, like before you actually upgrade Kyrion, which I guess like if you run into this in like before Joran, for example, it's kind of useless because like you just sell this. There's no need to bother with this because you're not gonna get Kyrion. So because it kind of makes sense to put it here. This one is very good, or like decent. I'm not sure. Maybe top of decent, like around here. Um, it's very good, but the thing is, it's limited in what skulls can use it because Arclich, for example, cannot use it that well. Archmage cannot use it that well. Like the skull in question has to like spam abilities a lot, to make this work. Like Rockstar does not use this particularly well, but it's like pretty godlike on the skull, little bone. It's pretty good. The other axe, very good item. This one is actually I'm actually gonna put this around here. It's actually a lot of money. It gives you some health and like a lot of money, so like why not? No, maybe around here. And actually works on every build, and it's just like a good start, right? It's basically just better insignia, to be honest. This one, it's decent. It works. It's good on a couple skulls, but like as I said, not everyone relies too much on attack speed. But the ones that do actually work with this pretty well. But even then, there's better picks usually. D. There's almost never reason to pick this. D. Don't bother. It's almost C. This item is almost C, but it's literally just worse. Abyssal virus because it's random. Gunpowder sword, best item in the game. Honestly. Way too broken right now actually defines the meta. This is a decent. I'm gonna keep this at around here. It has tactics, but it actually requires you to get hit. Which actually, yeah, I'm gonna put it very good, just because you're gonna get healed hot in Skul, especially against like bosses and things. But yeah, so like the hit zone is pretty decent. It's not good for a newer player though, because you don't want to get hit. But it's a good item overall. It's a good tactics item. The hero's holy sword. Too random, can't tell because it's godlike on pike, but it's kind of trash on just about everything else. Like it's good on like maybe 3 skulls in total, and then for the rest you have to go through like unnecessary lengths to make this work. Then we still have a bunch. Don't. This one, situational. It's like all right. It gives you some crit, and like the other effects are kind of garbage. Hope Slasher is the best physical boosting item outside of Kyrian. Like raw physical damage boosting, it's the best one. So like easy S. Situational, it's not usually your main pick. The longbow, it's actually a very good item. It's not situational because this actually doesn't have like any sort of trigger. It's just like a raw buff. So it's very good. 2 random can't tell. Again, pretty good like on Pike, but useless on everything else. Infinity Bone, as I said before, one of the best items in the game. This one, it's situational, maybe I'm gonna put it decent. Like these two are both a decent, just because they kind of work, but they rely on you swapping a lot, and it's like I guess it works on a lot of builds, but I'm not too fond of swapping a lot in Skul. Like I feel like it's a better judge of power to just keep one Skul, but it's actually stronger to swap between 2 Skuls. So they're pretty decent items. Actually, they're pretty decent, but they don't have very good combos otherwise. The shoes, you know, it's a decent item. It's like 35%. It's basically like a slightly worse stuff. 35% attack speed bonus, magic attack bonus. It's pretty good. This one is situational. It's only 10%, but on some skulls it's actually good, like Mummy. It's actually pretty decent, so it's situational right now. This one, don't bother. This one, very good. It's actually just like a side grade to pretty much just another Calvin stuff, except it has the harmony effect. Garbage, don't bother. I think this one, it is, I want to say this hard one. I don't know if I want to put it as situational or decent, because like it's pretty situational because not every skull can actually I'm gonna put it here just because I have this here, so I'm gonna put it decent because it works, but not every skull can make use of this, just because like you need to spam a lot and you need to be very skill reliant, but it works what it does, so I'm gonna keep it there. Mage's Necklace, it's very good, to be honest. Like even when it's not a very skill reliant skull, you can actually make some pretty busted builds here. Like the most braided setups are done because of the Mage's Necklace. Like the max cooldown Gargoyle, the magic champion run, basically a lot of things that rely on just like stabbing at the same distance and waiting for the fire to kill opponents. It's actually a really good item, and it's like actually godlike on Little Bone. This one, if I recall correctly, this stun. I don't know. I don't remember what this does actually, but it's like gives you stun on swapping. Actually, no, this gives stun on swapping, which is kind of garbage. And I don't remember what this does, but yeah, it's not that great. This one, it's another concentration item. Concentration is pretty freaking bad right now. There's like one good concentration item, and that's it. Concentration as in general sucks, and the items it has are even worse. You've heard my opinion on the blue bone. It's broken. It's fucking so good. S tier item. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep that very good. But you just use a skill, and the next hit will actually deal like half life on a big guy. And that's how much damage. On a good build, you'll actually one shot like Arc 2 or Arc 3 big guys. It's a really good item. It really helps with DPS. This, I don't know, it's a bit rough. I'm gonna have to say this is C because it has the mana tank. Like the actual effect is pretty garbage. Like 1 second every 4 seconds. Every 4 seconds it gives you like cooldown on your abilities by 1 second each time you use your ability. It's like a pretty bad effect, but like it has mana tank, so it's kind of eh. Honestly, I'm tempted to put this at Don't Bother just because there are better mana attack items. Another mana attack item again. garbage. It gives you like crit every 4 seconds, like 1 crit every 4 seconds, like garbage. It gives you mana attack, but there are better mana attack items like this one. Situational. It's like you need to be swarmed by 4 people to make this work, which is like, do you even need that much? Because this is only trigger on mobs, and do you even need that extra damage on mobs? It's like, not really. Monster Fighter, as their insta pick. Like it's on bosses or on every skull that like keeps a safe distance. This is just free 70%, magic and physical, by the way. This one, it's 2 random cantrell. It can be like either a god tier item or garbage, depending on when you get it. Again, 2 random. It's great on pike, garbage on everything else. I want to say I want to say situational right now, just because similar to this. Like it freezes people, and it also like gives you 35 HP, which is alright, I guess, as an effect. It's whatever. It's one of the items you will almost never use, really. Nether Mana Suppressor, godlike item. This item, this has been under the radar for like a lot of time because it didn't work for some time. But now it's like, it kind of works, but at the same time it doesn't. You can't proc it on Chimera. You cannot proc it on the Joan. It's really hard to proc it on the hero because he moves so much. It's hard to proc it on adventurers, but it's not impossible. But otherwise, like you don't need it on mobs. It's like it's a very good item, but it's like it's in a weird spot because it's so hard to get use out of this. But when you do get use, it's pretty good. This one is decent. Like it helps a lot in early missions, early rooms, but it kind of like starts to fall off, and like you always want to swap this out as you get like higher levels of the game. Patent Spare, best attack speed item in the game, free. Part of Greed, great. Prayer of Grace. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put Prayer of Grace here and the mana attack, the freaking Broken Mana Engine here, because the Broken Mana Engine is way better Prayer of Grace. So it's like it would make sense to keep them in the same tier. This one, don't bother, honestly. This is actually a decent item. The Princess Val, will give you like a pretty decent buff for like 10 seconds every 30 seconds. It's like, and almost all the buffs are really good. 2 random. Don't bother. I've never used this item like in a build unless it was for me. So yeah, it's a situational item. It's attack speed, but it only works on mobs, doesn't work on bosses, whatever. It's kind of eh. This item is decent because it only works on like magic swapping, and even then it doesn't deal that much damage, but it kind of helps against mobs. It's like a decent item. Rear Blast, godlike item, one of the best physical items in the game. 90% for almost free, just because a lot of things will actually proc this. Don't bother. It's actually memey how bad this item is. Situational, the Ring of Wind, one of the best magic items in the game. Ritual Staff, easily S tier. Don't bother. Don't bother. Sage type is actually so bad. This is a decent item. Like it doesn't have the courage, sure, but I'm sorry, it does have the courage, but the courage is a pretty bad inscriptions because it has a lot of garbage items. So it's kind of in a weird spot. But it's a decent physical item. Like you will usually keep this, but just because you have like the axes and you have this, and you have like what else? Like the rear blast, you have Kyrian, you have Hope Slasher. There's so many things to choose from. There's few reasons to actually like keep this, but when you're stuck and don't have anything else, like you want this. It's pretty decent. It's very good. It's 35% plus mana attack, which is great. Uh, don't bother. Don't bother. Same spot as this. Honestly, there's almost no difference between these two. Too random, can't tell. Depends on when you get it. The wings are actually I don't know. I want to say top of decent or like very good because it's like it's really good to get around with this, and it's actually very good for new players because it helps a lot with dodging and actually gives you a lot of attack speed when you're jumping. It doesn't really give much more besides that, so I guess I'll keep it at very good, just because of like it's one of the best utility items in the game. Thief's Dagger, easily one of the best items in the game, free. Thief's Armor, it's decent. It's a decent item. Like, it's not the best thing ever, but it helps with a lot, especially it's easy to get and it'll proc crit blast, so it helps extra. Thorny Boots, again similar to these two, just 35% plus like 25% plus like extra jumping, which nobody really cares about. It's just 25%. Too random, we can't tell. Great on pike, garbage and everything else. It's decent. 40% concentration speed is decent, but concentration kind of sucks right now. So but it's like the best concentration item. I'll either have to say top of situation. Actually, I'll say top of situation right now. This one is don't bother. Since I'm on this one, I'll say this one is very good. It's like 40% to both on top of like an extra. I think it was like 60% when it procs. It's like it's a really good item, honestly. This don't bother. The voodoo doll, it is situational if you want to stay alive because like it gives you 40 HP, which is pretty decent, and also a lot of magic attack. But the thing is, there's better things you can go for. But if you want survivability, you can have this. Actually, I'm gonna put it decent. If you want survivability, you can have it. It's sort of like a similar to this one, but that only procs once. This can proc a lot, many times. Warrior's Glove, don't bother. It's kind of garbage. This one is S tier. Invincibility from the front, and like on top of having Fortress, which gives you some shield. Like come on, dude, so good. Either that or like very good. But this is a defensive item, so like these are the two best defensive items. There's no way to give this an A. Garbage, situational, and this I'm gonna have this in the same tier as the wings, just because these two are the best like utility, free. So a lot of dashing, a lot of jumps, and that's kind of what you really want. But I don't want to say which of these is better because they're better than each other for different reasons. This gives you extra air speed and extra attack speed and extra jump, so it helps you like skip a lot of rooms where you would have to fight. Whereas this actually helps because it gives you more eye freeze because it gives you more dashes, so it's easier to dodge bosses. But yeah, this is the tier list, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. I will be doing more tier lists in the future, as I said, because I want to be doing the Skul tier list, and like the final big boy Skul tier list just before the update drops, so that I have like a good idea of where the updates, where the buffs and nerfs will actually put each character. But yeah, right now this is my tier list. If they ever make a tier list on Quints, I will make a tier list on Quints. If they have a tier list maker on Quint, I will make that. But until then, we'll just have to deal with this. So just S items, insta peak, A very good, B is decent, C is situational, and D don't bother. And question mark percent is pretty much these two, which are random as fuck, and you can decide. These two, which are random based on when you get it, and this is like Pike's arsenal. Just because it works only on him, and that's it. You could even put this as situational, but it feels weird to put this as situational because these are godlike items. It's for one specific skull. It's like they were meant for one skull. But yeah, thanks you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.
which will be really sweet. Actually, I actually managed to get the ninja. I'm working on him. It'll be a good run. But I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.